Excellent.
Well, today's topic is a very interesting one, and you may not realize that you have a fear about something. It could be deep down in that subconscious. And as Helena was just sharing with me, and even if you have a phobia, you may think you know what it is, but it's kind of like that rose that we've been talking about, right, Helena? That we're going to take the petals off the rose and keep going down until we really get to the rose bud, the real core of the issue. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So today is episode 21. Congratulations to us, the Emotion Code Divas. I am Dana J. Smithers, and I'm a certified emotion code practitioner. I'm also a certified law of attraction trainer, and I am a certified sacred gifts guide. So I guide people through a program of looking to find their 3 to 5 sacred gifts of 2024. So I know what mine are. I know what Helena's are. And but that's not what we're talking about today. It is not. We are talking about releasing fears and phobias the whole month of June, but this time it's around animals. And I do have a particular fear or phobia. Helena's going to let me know what it is about certain creatures. And even though I've tried to, come to peace with them and make terms with this, or see, I can't even. I get all rattled. I can't even. Okay, all right then. But Helena's going to do a session on me today, so hopefully when I see those creatures again, I don't know that I'll want to pet them, but it won't be so bad. Anyway, that's a little bit about me. Welcome to the show. Our intention is to educate, inspire, heal, and release any trapped emotions that you may have around, could be anything. Helena's going to talk about the areas that she's a specialist in, but I tend to work with women's issues, women entrepreneurs, because everything that affects us in our personal life, relationships, finances, family situation, all of it affects how we run our business and actually how we run our life, right? So that's a little bit about me. Welcome the other Emotion Code Diva, Helena Jenikin.
Hello, everyone. I am Helena Jenikin. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist and a certified emotion code practitioner. I help men and women release excess weight, remove anxieties, fears, and phobias, as well as stop smoking. I am the StopSmokingLady.com. Dana, I see clients for fears and phobias all the time. I'm in my office with hypnosis, and before I learned about the emotion code and learned how to do the emotion code, that's what I used for helping people remove their fears and phobias of animals, of public speaking, of driving, of heights, nighttime, and some other peculiar things. And now that I know the emotion code, it just works so much better and so much faster.
Right, exactly. I totally agree. So let's just go ahead and we go through the 7 keys of what an emotion code session is, because we recognize that not everybody is. Some people are watching this for the first time, or some people may go to our YouTube channels, which we'll talk about at the end. But that's where all our recordings are from the Diva shows and a few other delightful things. And so let's just go ahead. So these are the keys that we use, or any emotion code practitioner uses, to conduct a session. So the first thing that we need is going to be someone's permission. So Helena, why don't you just talk about that, and why do we need their permission?
Well, permission is important because it is their permission. It is their life, their body, their mind, and we just can't be walking around and interfering in other people's lives that aren't requesting our help. We can ask for a person's permission, so we can do the distance healing. Sometimes they're not present when we're working with them. They might be busy doing something else, or we might have permission to work on their child, their minor child that they are the legal guardian of, as well as animals.
Exactly. So we've got their permission, we've asked them, or someone's told us that they want us to work together. So the next thing that we ask them, or sorry, that the next key is to become their proxy. So what exactly does that mean, Helena?
To become their proxy means that they have given us permission and the ability to ask their subconscious mind directly the questions yes or that have a yes or no answer. It is kind of like if you need to go to a meeting and you can't be there and you give someone else your permission to act on your behalf, vote on your behalf. Proxy.
Right. So they're sort of going to become you. So that's what we do when we do the muscle testing, especially since Helena and I do, many of our sessions are on the phone. They could be on Skype. They could be on, I've got a gal, I use FaceTime with her, or it might be on Zoom or something like that. Often once we've worked with someone as well, they may just shoot us an email and say, hey, can you do a session, which we can do as long as we have the information that we need for that. So as Helena is a clinical hypnotherapist and she does have an office, she will have people in and do the hypnotherapy with them, but she'll also do an emotion code session. And even then, she may become their proxy because sometimes the muscle testing is easier to do on ourselves once we become that proxy. So I understand the next key is asking about the severity. But, Helena, I found that sometimes people, I had somebody say, well, it's a 3 or 4 out of 10. So what would be your response to something like that?
Well, if it's not an emotional intensity of maybe a 7, 8, 9, or a 10, it's not really something that they want to work on. But here's the key. I will always ask their subconscious mind for the severity level. And often it's a lot higher because why else would they be bringing it up unless it actually is bothering them on some level?
Right, exactly.
The only other reason someone might bring up an issue that's maybe a 2 or a 3 is because they're avoiding the larger issue.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so tapping in and we'll find out subconscious does not lie. All right. So how are we going to figure out what's going on in that subconscious? And we use something called
muscle testing. That's right. I use muscle testing like this. I have an agreement with my subconscious mind where when I put these 2 fingers together and interlock them, and I think of the word yes, 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 my fingers lock together. And when I think of the word no, 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 my fingers just slip apart. There's not a lot of pressure here. I've gotten quite good at just feeling the subtle difference. But when I ask a person if they have any trapped emotions to be released around a particular issue, and I get a yes, then I can move forward. And that's the way I do muscle testing. How about you, Dana?
I do it a little bit differently. I was just going to mention, we forgot to do this at the beginning, but you can, this is the book that we talk a lot about, The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And in it, he's got lots of case studies. He's got the emotion code chart. He talks a lot about muscle testing. And he actually gives you different techniques about, what he's saying, how you can do it. Actually right here on page 163, 4, and 5, he's got some good pictures of different ways to muscle test. And as Helena says, we're making an agreement with our subconscious that this will work for us. So mine is a little bit different than Helena's. I have tried other ones, but this is the one that I can work really quickly with. It's a quick yes or no. And as Helena said, there's no need for much pressure. So for me, I put my index and thumb together. I take my other 2 fingers, index and middle finger, and this is a yes for me. So if I said, is my name Dana J. Smithers, that's a yes. Is my name Helena Jenikin? That's a no. So a no, yes, no. So it's pretty quick. We can go through the work quite easily when we go through the emotions. But Helena, we've got a few viewers.
We do.
And we love that.
We do.
We are not called the Emotion Code Divas for nothing, ladies. So,
and gentlemen.
And gentlemen, exactly. Yeah, we've had a few male viewers, and we appreciate that. So, Helena, can you see who's giving us a shout out today?
One of our very loyal fans is Natasha Paula Samuel.
From
Hello.
Rumford, or at Rumford, Essex,
That's right.
England. Yes.
That's right. That's right. And then we also have Teresa Sims. She says, "You're both amazing. You're doing powerful work."
Right.
Yeah. Hey, Teresa, you asked a question. Are those anchors? Can you give me just another, what do you mean by are those anchors?
Yeah, I don't know if she means the muscle testing.
Mm,
Yeah, so give us a bit more information on that, and we'll answer
yeah,
that for you.
that's right. And
Uh,
anybody else that's watching, just
yeah,
if you could drop us a little comment and let us know that you're watching, and that would be lovely. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
yeah, and if you want to share us, go ahead and share. Always great. Yeah, so we're doing the muscle testing, but what are we doing it on, Helena?
Well, we're asking questions if there's any negative trapped emotions that we can
Okay.
release to release the issue. We're using a thing called the emotion code chart. Emotion code chart is got 60 negative emotions on here, divided into two columns, A and B, and an odd row and an even row. So what we're asking is there any negative trapped emotions that we can release regarding the particular issue? Yes or no? Yes. Is it in column A or is it in column B? Is it an odd row or is it an even row? And then we come down to like a cell of 5 different emotions, and then we can individually ask those. And then we want to release them.
Exactly. So, for example, when Helena's going to be doing my session on my phobia, she asked if it's in column A or column B, and let's say I could see probably where they might be. They might be right here. So there's five emotions. There's 5 emotions in each section. So Helena's going to go through each one, and she's going to do the muscle testing around that. So she'll ask, is it anxiety, despair, disgust, nervousness, or worry? So one of those will come up to a yes. And then she's going to ask the question, does it belong to me? And since she is doing the work for me, she'll say, does it belong to me, Dana? And if it's either a yes or a no. If it doesn't belong to me, then we can ask the question, is it inherited? So if it's inherited, then we do something a little bit different with our magnet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Magnets.
Yeah.
What are these magnets for, Dana?
Well, we're going to use these magnets. Lynn and I actually have similar ones, although I have different ones. I use a $100 bill magnet for working with money. I have one actually that I work with health issues and releasing weight. It's actually, I made it up. I used a magnet, but it's got food and healthy foods on it. So I just use it. So we take the magnet. What the magnet is going to do is demagnetize these emotions. Let's say it was the emotion of disgust. So I've asked, does it belong to this person? I get a yes. So we have a lot of touch points in our body that acupuncturists use. We have, we're all energy, so we're going to find the energy points. We all have, most people are familiar with the 7 chakras, but we actually have hundreds of chakras. So when we do this work, we work with what's called the governing meridian. And so we're going to demagnetize by swiping, taking the magnet and going over our head to the back of our, just where the spine is, back of the neck. And we just do the 3 swipes if it belongs to that person. And that demagnetizes it. So it's kind of like if you think in your wallet, sometimes you may have found that you've demagnetized a credit card. That's why, because it's gotten too close to another magnet. We're all energy, and these little magnets just release it. On occasion, I've been, somebody's phoned me, I'm out in my car, and they've asked me to do a session for them. If I don't have a magnet with me, they are a little heavy in the purse, but we do carry them, right, Helena?
We do. Sometimes more than 2.
Yeah, I have an app. You can get the emotion code app on your phone. So I have that. And you can just use your hand because your hand is magnetic as well. And we're just releasing that, right? So that's how we do that. If it's an inherited emotion, then we do it 10 times. And the last key that's very, very important to us is hydration.
Hydration,
Yeah.
water.
So we want to be very hydrated. Um, and that just keeps, we're mostly made of water energy, but water anyway, but we want to keep very, very hydrated. Usually an emotion code practitioner will not be a heavy caffeine drinker. If I'm going to have my coffee or tea or whatever, it's times when I'm not doing sessions, so I know that I get heavy, really heavy on the water, and that's okay. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead, and Helena is going to do a little bit of teaching about fears and phobias. She's going to do a session on me because I actually have a phobia. I guess it's a phobia.
It is a phobia,
And a fear.
and just if you go ahead and talk about it, I'll talk about why I classify it as a phobia rather than a fear.
Okay, so she's going to work on me today. I have a fear of big snakes, like not little garden snakes are fine, but big snakes. And I've tried to, not that I've ever even been close to one, but I like to watch a lot of animal shows. So there's one called Animals at Work, and the last show I watched, he had a big like python, and I've also seen pictures of where snakes, it's imprinted in my brain, have like eaten another animal, and you can see the shape in their body, and oh, I don't even want to talk about it.
Exactly. And so that's exactly what I would look for if a client came into my office, if I was working with them on the phone or on Skype or something, is how is the person speaking? How are they emotional at the time when they're talking about their issue? In this case, the fear of snakes, of large snakes. If you notice the hesitation in Dana's voice, the physical reaction too, and there's no snake present. It is in her mind. She's able to conjure up physical reactions, even a little stuttering and hesitation, and actually doesn't want to talk about it. That would be a phobia. It's not present. Now, a fear is if the snake was present and she would only ever have the fear of a snake when the snake was actually present, that would be a fear. And so if you know anybody that can't even talk about the snake, the spider, the dog, the cat, the height, the driving, the whatever it might be, the airplane ride, those are then all considered a phobia. They're in your subconscious part of your mind. And the emotion code really helps.
So just actually, when I thought about the snakes as well, it's funny. Sylvia Bellini is a loyal London follower. Big shout out to Sylvia. So she says, snakes, you and Indiana Jones. And my late father. And I remember that. I don't know which one it was with Indiana Jones, but big, brave, tough guy, right? All this adventure, blah, blah, blah. And then it's funny in the show because he's got to go down into this pit of
snakes. You can't even say it. Snakes.
And yeah, well, I couldn't even imagine. Yeah, okay, I can't go there. But yeah, so Helena's going to work on me, and I'm just going to share a little bit about.
I'm going to start, and then I'm going to come back and tell you a case study.
All right, so a little bit about fears and phobias. Just some information that I found that says that the difference between a fear and a phobia. A phobia produces a strong reaction of fear or anxiety, which is kind of what I experience when I think about that. I mean, it's not something I think about very often, but like I said, if I see something on TV or if I see a post in Facebook or something, for whatever reason, that gets implanted on my brain, and I don't really know what's ever caused it. I've never really actually seen a big snake ever in my entire life. I remember when I lived in Australia, I don't know, I think it was the brown snake that was poisonous, or maybe it was the black snake, I don't know. But anyway, I did see one one day. Oh yeah, I'm just remembering that. Huh. Yeah, so that's interesting. We'll see what Helena picks up there. But that snake was very poisonous and could kill you. And of course, I didn't I've forgotten all about that. That's very interesting. So we'll see if that comes up. But yeah, I had to run back into the apartment there. It was kind of scary. Anyway, all right, so there we go. So people with a phobia work hard to avoid certain situations, objects, or places, right? So I want to avoid a place where I might even see one of those. And they may experience fear or anxiety even when the situation, object, or place is not imminent. So just having that flashback, I can actually see that snake slithering around. So that was in the 70s, a long time ago. So just to look at, talk about some of the most common phobias which people may suffer from. So there's something called acrophobia, which is fear of heights. So a lot of people have that. Another common one is fear of spiders, and that's called arachnophobia. So fear of spiders. And fear of snakes is called ophidiophobia. Ophidiophobia. Fear of snakes. Agoraphobia is fear of having a panic attack in public. And my mother actually suffered from agoraphobia, and it took her many, many years. She had it for many years. And I remember as a child that she didn't take us out very much because I didn't know, I mean, as a child, and I don't even think she knew what agoraphobia was, but it was definitely a fear that she had. But she did overcome it. But I remember her actually talking about she'd take little steps to get over it. And so from a law of attraction perspective, what I would say is that she had a vibrational shift, that she feared it, but she stepped into her fear. And what she was looking for from a law of attraction perspective is the outcome, a positive outcome of being able to go out with her kids, to be able to take us to the park. Like there were 4 of us at the time when she had this. And then Lori, my younger sister, came later, but she had that. So she started doing little steps. She'd just even go outside the door. And then the next week she'd go down to the edge of our property. And then I remember her talking about going up to the top of a hill, like a sidewalk block, and just standing there and having this panic attack. But she saw herself, she did the mindset, you know, I call it running the movie forward, and she saw herself getting safely down. So she did. So agoraphobia is a pretty common fear that a lot of people don't even know what these fears are called. So misophobia, which is something that Howard Hughes had, is fear of germs. So a lot of people do have this fear. You'll often see them cleaning their hands a lot. They might be someone that walks around with the the antiseptics and are always rinsing their hands or washing their hands and all of that. So that's a fear of germs. And a fear of dogs is called cynophobia. And I remember that I was working with, when I used to have my home staging school and I was training students, I would take them into homes. And one thing I didn't know at the beginning when I was first starting is that people actually had fear of dogs. And with this young woman who was going to be going into people's homes to get them ready for selling, she had a terrific phobia of dogs. So, I had to say to her that she's going to have to ask the question of homeowners, do you have any pets? Because, as a decorator as well, I mean, you're going into people's homes all the time. And if you have these phobias, a cat or a dog, or maybe it's a bird. So I don't think she actually ever carried on with doing that work. Or if you do have it, then, if you're inviting somebody into your home, and they have a phobia about that, it might be better to meet them someplace else. Yeah. So Helena, I don't know if you heard or not, but as I was talking, I remembered when I lived in Australia.
Oh, you lived in Australia?
Yeah, I've lived kind of a few places. When I lived in Australia, I was teaching school there, and I lived in a small town in sort of the outback, and the poisonous snake, I think it was a brown snake, and I opened the door of our apartment one day, and there was one there. And all I knew was that brown snakes were deadly poisonous. And yeah, I totally forgotten about that. And now I can see it. I can see that snake. But he wasn't a python, right? It was, but he was that sort of thing. So what what did you find out? What did you
That was
release
very,
for me?
yeah, that was very interesting that you actually thought of that and actually I was listening as you spoke about
Okay.
opening the door and seeing the snake, and there was no emotional reaction to that in your voice. And so the first question I asked is, are there any trapped emotions? Oh, first of all, I got a severity. It was a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so then I asked if there's any trapped emotions that we can release that will allow you to watch on TV shows with large snakes in it. And it said, yes, there was. And the very first one came up was an inherited trapped emotion from your father's father of worthless. Now, we don't need to go in to ask
Yeah.
these questions, but we just released. It was very interesting. It didn't belong to you. The first one didn't belong to you. And then after that, other ones of hopelessness, low self-esteem, and depression. Now, depression is, I have a standard answer for the cure for depression is connection with others. Because a lot of depressed people, they actually retreat within themselves when the connection with others is one of the things that would help.
Yeah,
So
the
I've heard
isolation, right? People
that,
they start isolating and get more and more depressed, right?
and they get more and more in their head, and they start to talk to themselves, and the words start to create the negative words, start to create the negative thoughts, creating the negative feelings, creating the negative results. But when I did that, I had the idea. It's like, oh, I think it might be interesting for you to consider the idea of going to see a snake, a large snake, because you, Dana, have a connection to all living things.
Mhm.
And I think it might be time to make peace with the snake's role in nature.
Hmm.
But here's the other one. So I did that, and it got down to a 1, and I thought,
Mhm.
okay, we'll leave it at that. And then I asked if you had any the idea of going to see a snake. Is there any trapped emotions around the idea of going to see a snake? It went, oh yes. Indecisiveness was the very first one. I'm not sure. But once you let go of that, then pride and shock. And shock was around the idea of seeing a snake. But you know what's really interesting? You already saw a snake up close.
Mhm.
And it was a dramatic opening, and you survived.
Yes.
And I know that you want to move forward and past this because snakes are God's creatures and part of the universe. And
Well, that I could definitely think about, because when you said that, it was sort of like I felt this kind of little shift. Yeah, because I'm all about loving all the creatures, and every creature on this planet has a purpose, just like every human does, right? We're here to do good and to serve and to help other people expand whatever that journey happens to look like. So it's interesting because as I'm looking at your top that you're wearing, from my view, it's almost a snake
oh my
pattern.
gosh. Do you know that as I was I was really in my closet, must have pulled out 3 different tops and went, no, not that one. And I wanted to wear an animal print, and I said, no, I'm not going to wear an animal print today. And I'm looking at this, and you're right, I look like I'm covered in snake skin.
All right, so I have to just look at a comment that Barb Ashcroft made. Well, after you saying that, she said, I don't sound too convinced of seeing a snake, but no, I'm gonna take you up on that challenge. I've got a few recordings of where I know there are some snakes on it, and yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But Barb has a statement or sort of question here. She says, Barb Ashcroft, thanks for watching. Barb's in Parksville. Big shout out to her. She said, I got stabbed as a child and wonder if that's a fear or phobia of knives.
It usually, that I would say, is a fear, and you may be linking a knife to like you might be thinking that you have a fear of knives, but my gut is telling me that it has nothing to do with knives.
Yeah.
It has something to do with the stabbing.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Because you're using knives. Knives are there all the time, right? They're everywhere
yeah.
you go. Yeah. If it was that, you would have to have had some serious assistance with getting over that. But I agree with Helena. When we do emotion code, even though we may start with the first question up here, we're really going down some levels. And the longer that we work with someone, I like to do 2 or 3 sessions, just really, I only usually do the one session when it's just sort of a check-in with somebody, but it's often 2 or 3 sessions that we need to do to, really peel that rose and get down to, that rosebud. How can we really help you, right? What do we need to pull off here very gently to, to create a different reality for you as well, right?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. And people have then after the session, they're processing the information, processing the emotions, releasing the emotions. So physically, they need some time in between the sessions to allow the shift and the changes to occur and see what maybe bubbles up from the subconscious, what's coming up next that we can remove.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Great. Just a shout out to Leslie Marshall. Thanks so much for watching, Leslie. And we would love it if you share this video. The Emotion Code Divas is a fairly new show, although we are on episode 21, so that's pretty awesome. Yeah, but go ahead and share it and let your friends know about it. But I want to let you know about something that's coming up, that the Emotion Code Divas are putting on kind of a meetup. And we're doing it in North Vancouver. I have a lovely lounge area. So if you live in North Vancouver and you're available June 14th, so I think that's next Thursday. Yeah. From 7 to 8:30. We'll be doing sessions on people. We'll be talking about the emotion code, might even be talking about, fears or phobias, or, how do you lose weight, release weight, or whatever. Helena is the Stop Smoking Lady, so maybe, you might want to come and just find out what that's all about. So we have a couple of events up. One is up on this page, so just go ahead and check out the events. And if you're living in North Vancouver, or you could make it that night, you don't have to live in North Vancouver, but we would love to see you there. In the meantime, Helena, how can people get a hold of you?
People can find me at my website, which is flourishhypnosis.com/emotion-code. I also have a Facebook business page, Flourish Hypnosis, and a YouTube channel for Flourish Hypnosis, and there's another one under my name, Helena Jenny.
That's right. Yeah, we all, as entrepreneurs, right, we all have multiple URLs and that. So you can find me at empoweredwomeninbusiness.com/emotion-code. Empowered Women in Biz is my page, but my YouTube channel is Empowered Women in Business. And I have all the Emotion Code Diva shows are up there, as well as my Law of Attraction. I do a tip every week from my book. I'm at week 37 this week, and I'll keep going on, but there's YouTube videos about the Law of Attraction, and yeah, a few different topics, sacred gifts, that sort of thing on there. Yeah, so Sylvia Bellini is saying, okay, Dana, report back. All right, so I will let you know. I will, yeah, well, when we talk about what happens after, right, Helena, the processing, it's different for everybody. So right now, I do feel calmer about snakes. I do feel calmer. So we will see if I can watch those movies. Please, I'm going to use Law of Attraction here. I know you're not supposed to say this. I'm going to say, don't send me photos or videos of snakes. Now that I've said that, well, that's Law of Attraction, right? We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I may just attract those on my own anyway, but anyway, that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. Please do share. We are live here every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. So that's it for now. So again, if you can join us live in North Vancouver, June 14th, from 7 to 8:30, we would love to see you. So that's us for now. Have an awesome day, and yeah, maybe take a look at what fears or phobias you have, and if you want to get rid of them, give us a shout. All right, bye for now.
Bye.